Welcome to How to Yugioh.
Yugioh 2026.
Chapter 1.
Okay, and it's the start of the new year. Happy New Year. It is now 2026. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the things that I think Konami should do for 2026 and how I feel the game should improve and what Konami is doing right now in 2026 and how I feel it should improve and the things I hope that will happen with the game. With that being said, let's get on with the rest of the video.
Chapter 2.
Okay, so let's talk about it. As you can see in front of you, there are two cards that are coming out in the next set. One of them is Lahamu, the messenger of the sacred scripture. Another one is Summon Shock. Let's read Lahamu first. Once while this card is link summoned, it's face up on the field, you can normal summon one level 5 or higher monster without tributing. During the main phase, you can quick effect, immediately after this effect revolves, normal summon a level 5 or higher dark monster. During your end phase, you can reveal any number of monsters in your hand and place them on the bottom of the deck in any order. Then draw the same number of cards. You can only use each effect of Lahamu, the messenger of sacred scripture, once per turn. Looking at this card, it's great. I like this card a lot. Sure, it'll be used for Vanity's Emptiness or some other Majesty's Fiend or some other nonsense. But why I really like this card is that it allows us to normal summon level 5 or higher monsters. And normal summoning, I think, is a core part of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think is something that should be invested in more. Being able to normal summon level 5 or higher monsters is great. And sure, we will have, I think this year people will be using it for some dubious means. But outside of the Vanity's Monsters, or Majesty's Fiend, which were cards anyway that were always problematic and were always used in stun decks, once those cards are banned, this card isn't so bad. Those are the only prominent floodgate monsters we have in the game. Really, honestly. And finally, we go to Summon Shock. When I look at Summon Shock, I think it is a fantastic card. First of all, for the main game, it might not be a great card given its effect. Let's read the effect of Summon Shock, the continuous trap. Each time a monster is normal or special summoned, place one summon counter on this card, maximum 4. If the fourth summon counter is placed on this card, remove all summon counters from this card, and if you do, you send all monsters on the field to the graveyard. First of all, what this card means is that in our main format, this card is too slow. But in Genesis, this is a fantastic card. And I think this is what I like to say about the current year of 2026, where our cards now have a second lease of life. And they might necessarily not be bad cards. There might be bad cards in our main format, but in a slower format with Genesis that we have now, which was released last year, this could be a good card. This means that when we look at cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now and in some sets now, especially starting 2026, there is a hope. There is not necessarily cards are really bad, because bad cards are now going to be much, much harder to find, because we have another format where these cards can find a home. One of the main issues I think we had before, especially with sets and why sets were so bad, was because there were no cards. There were cards that were released which were not bad but slow. So in the main formats, they were absolutely garbage, and we didn't have a format that could play these slow cards. But now that we have another format, this means that we're not going to, I think sets for this year are not going to be really bad, because it's going to be very difficult for a set to be bad, as even garbage cards are going to see some use in Genesis format. So it's gonna be finding bad cards in just current in side sets or current sets is going to be really quite difficult. And I like it. I like it a lot. And so let's go on to the next slide.
Chapter 3.
And here we talk about this card here, Fraudulous Harmonia. Let's read it. It's a dragon tuner. Let's read this effect. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, you can reveal this card in your hand and up to 5 synchro monsters in your extra deck. Apply these effects in sequence based on the total number revealed. Also, you cannot activate effects of monsters special summoned from the extra deck until the end of your next turn, except synchro monsters. 2. Special summon this card. 4. Send one of the revealed synchro monsters to the graveyard. 6. Destroy a monster your opponent controls. You can only use its effect of Fraudulous Harmonia once per turn. This means that when you activate this card, right, you activate 6, you're able to activate all those other effects in sequence. Fantastic card. I think this is a great card. We'll see it used in obviously Genesis format. I think in our main format, it might be there, but by the time I think we have what do we call it? Herald might get banned. Who knows? So it might not see uses there, but I think in Genesis format, it'll be a fantastic card right there. Fantastic card, great card overall. And yeah, so I have really high expectations for this card, regardless of where it is. It's gonna be a great card. If it's not good in the main game, it will be good in Genesis. So overall, fantastic card, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And I also want to say, like, I think going forward, when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm hoping with Konami what they're going to be doing is we're going to be seeing like now more cards that are slow, more cards that are less nonsensical, and just cards with balance in them. But I think there is hope as well because I think what this game really needed was another format. I think part of the problem that Yu-Gi-Oh's had for the longest time is that we've not had another format, and it's meant that there was just no avenue to play slower decks or decks which were not the best or cards which are not high impactful. And as I've started getting into Genesis format, I absolutely love it because every set means that comes out is now exciting. It means that like sets like getting playing for Genesis is much easier than playing for the main game. You can play. It's exciting to look at cards now that are coming out in sets and be like, this could be useful in Genesis format. This could be useful in Genesis format. And that is something that I think is very good for the community, is very good for the game itself, when cards are no longer just useless. And I think it's part of the thing that has been plaguing Yu-Gi-Oh for the longest time, where cards are released in sets and they're just considered garbage because they're too slow. But now this sentiment is going to begin to change when we look at cards in sets now. And I think this is one of the best things to happen to Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think we will have an impact on this game. That's it. Let's head on to the conclusion.
Chapter 4.
So overall, I'm here at the conclusion, and what I've got to say is that when it comes to where Yu-Gi-Oh is right now in 2026, it's in a different place, but in a better place. I expect to see, you know, more archetypes from Konami. Balance obviously is going to be there. I expect also to this year we will see possibly, hopefully, the banning of Maxi in OCG, which will be huge, as OCG is the country that produces the sets and the cards. And the moment Maxi is gone, we will truly see, I think, in my opinion, the prospect of the game getting slower. Because I think part of the reason why archetypes have just been absolutely balls to the wall bonkers is because Maxi exists. So the excuse obviously is just like this card exists. We can just make whatever we want, balancing be damned. But because if Maxi gets banned, and this is something that they will know obviously this year, Konami, that it'll change the archetype, it'll change the R&D creation of archetypes, because at that point you can't justify making absurd broken archetypes if the hand trap to deal with them isn't there. So the game will naturally be slower, and that's something I'm excited to see. Another thing is that I would like to see more cards like Dominus cards. I like, because Dominus cards, ever since their introduction, have been fantastic hand traps, have been great. You can't place them everywhere, and when we look at it, we can see Dominus Impulse is the only Dominus card that we're seeing in in the meta scene, because it only plays dark. The other Dominus cards are nowhere to be seen, and to me, this is great. I think that's how a hand trap should be. The way a Dominus card is designed is the way hand traps, in my opinion, should be. You shouldn't be able to play a multitude of hand traps the way we're playing right now, with like 5 to 10 to 15 hand traps. Absolutely absurd. The way Dominus cards are designed is the way hand traps should be designed, where you can only play that one card. It's much healthier, in my opinion, facing a deck like Malice. And sure, we can say Malice is absolutely ridiculous, but Malice is ridiculous, and we saw last year, is because of the playstyle of the archetype, not because the archetype plays a lot of hand traps. Notice what I said before. Malice has dominated simply because of archetype or playstyle, not because of hand traps. And I think this is something we need to see more often. Because the Dominus cards, what they do is that once you have them in, you can't play, you're limited. You cannot play fire, wind, or earth. So you're limited in terms of the hand traps you can play. So the moment you play Dominus Impulse, you can't play any fire hand traps, which is Ash. You can't play any wind hand traps, which is Draw. You can't play any earth hand traps, which is the Ghost Bell. And so you are limited in scope, and you can only play dark hand traps. So the only hand traps you have access to are just DDD Crow and Chaos Angel, and possibly Lancia. But this is the point that I'm trying to make, right? And that's why I feel the Dominus cards are great. Anyways, overall, I'm excited about where Yu-Gi-Oh is this year. I'm excited about where the game is going to go this year and all the things that are happening. Overall, that's all I've got to say. Tune in next time as I talk about more things on this channel. Hope to see you soon.
We come to the end of this video. So, as I like to say, you are one step closer to becoming a Yu-Gi-Oh master. My fate, right, is in your hands.